So g'day, it's Roy here again. Today, look, I'm really excited because I've been telling everyone you should be looking in your own backyard. And we had to do a photo shoot for Go RV. We're actually having a great deal of fun anyway. So we've come over to the Historic Village and I'm here right now with Roger Dunson. Roger is the president for the Village Society, the Historical Village Society. Yep. And Roger's going to tell us a little bit about this incredible place. What a find, right on my doorstep. I can't believe it.
It is, and thank you very much for the opportunity to talk about the village. The village has been here since 1979, so we're 30 years old, and it was granted, the land was granted to us by the council, and we've collected all the buildings here, 70 buildings, we've collected from the local area over a period of time. And here they are, we're all set out in the village. We have a lot of school children come in here. We have changes in the village, which projects, you talk about projects, there's always a new project going on here. So look, it's 12 acres of land, and it's an exciting place to come. A lot of activity going on here on a daily basis.
You must get school excursions and things like that coming through a place like this. I mean, it's just, I say, unbelievable. I'm blown away with what I've seen.
Yeah, well, it's on the school curriculum and for historic history. And what happens was that the schools, we have a website, and schools, we're very popular. 10,000 school children a year come through here. And look, it's great. They love it. We have train rides. We have washing demonstrations, blacksmith demonstrations for the children. So it's a real education for them.
I'm seeing a lot of buildings that within themselves, the actual building looks quite historical. But what sort of shocked me a bit is there's things happening inside those buildings. So, and I guess having Caboolture Hospital here is just unbelievable. And a note, a little sign outside that hospital saying, you know, if you were born here, sign our register. So it's been around long enough for local people to have actually been born in that hospital.
That's right. And look, you're quite right there. In fact, some of our volunteers who actually have been volunteering here for 20 or 30 years and are at a very mature age, they were actually born in that hospital. And so there's a big, strong family connection here within the village and the surrounding area.
And of course, inside some of these, they're actually operating a shop still, aren't they? So you've got all sorts of things that people can buy. There is cafe type arrangements, but there's also art and crafts as well, isn't there?
That's right. We have a gem club. We have 7 different groups here that are part of the village. The gem club, the woodcrafters group, the antique machinery, the chip people. Sorry. And so look, there's a lot to see. The gem club have their own displays of for the school children to see how the gems are made. The kids go away with a little bag full of gems and stones that they can take out of a lucky dip. So look, there are shops there. We have our blacksmith who actually makes blacksmith gear, and we have a shop out the front there of all the locally made blacksmith gear. So,
do you have an antique caravan here?
Yes, we do.
You do? Well, we've got to make sure we see this antique caravan today.
It's an old plywood, bondwood caravan, and it's up in our transport museum, and it's actually a very historic van. So
absolutely awesome. So what we want to do is we want to go around and have a bit of a look at what's here. Can't give away too many secrets because actually there is a charge for coming in here to have a look at these things, which helps maintain, because I mean, as far as I understand, you're basically all volunteers. It's a non-profit making organisation, but you've got to raise some funds, and so, you know, come down and spend some dollars in here. But what does it actually cost for say a family or even a couple to come in?
Well, look, we do have a family price. It's $30. Adults are $15, but the children, underage, under 5's free, and so the school children, they pay $10 to come.
Hey, look, that is so affordable. I mean, you can spend more than that going to the movies, and I can tell you now, I'm looking around here, and I'm saying to Matt, you know, I reckon we could spend a good solid day here and still not see everything there is to see. So I feel like a kid in a candy store, to be honest with you. It's brilliant.
That's right. Look, you'd have to allow at least 3 hours to see everything here. But if you're really into this want to see everything at least half a day.
Well, just this, we're standing here at the garage and looking around the garage, and you know, we got the Victor lawnmower happening. We've got some of these old cars. I love the Humber. Who doesn't love a Humber? And they're actually working on it, as you can see, while we're standing here talking. Well, so we don't want to interfere with the workers too much. But just looking here, I mean, I reckon I could spend an hour or two just looking at all the various things that's happening inside the garage here alone. That's right. So, very exciting stuff. So we're going to go for a bit of a wander. Okay, so look, come on down. We're going to have a look at the hospital here. I did say to Roger before I had a bit of a headache and I wanted to keep out the sun, and he said, I've got just thing for you. Mate, let's go visit the hospital.
All right, so this was called the Riverview Private Hotel, and of course donated by the family, the Mallet family and Davis. So and the first doctor was Dr. Crawford. So it became a hospital, and then eventually another hospital was built here in Caboolture. This was donated here.
So when people are complaining or talking about we need a bigger hospital in Caboolture, and they are doing a major refurb of Caboolture Hospital as we speak, you know, it would be nice if they actually remembered where the origins of this all started. There was no hospital. This wonderful family's donated this building, and this is where the first hospital is. I just think this is awesome. So what have we got? Oh, we've got a nurse waiting.
The ladies' ward. Yes, each room was segregated, ladies and men's, because we couldn't have them both in the same room. And this is the men's room. And then, of course...
So some beautiful pictures on the walls too, I see.
Yes. This is the main treatment room.
There's some questionable treatment tools in here, isn't there?
There's pretty scary stuff in there. And...
Actually, at first glance, I thought that might have been a dungeon or one of those torture chambers or something, but that's looking pretty cool.
That's another ward, general ward.
So how did you end up with the building? So as you say, it was in King Street, and it
was in King Street, and it was moved here. Now, fortunately back then, but this was back in the early 80s, it was brought in. And of course, being that it's a huge building, it's cut into sections and brought up here in sections. And back in those days, a lot of the volunteers here were farmers, and they owned transports and all that. And so it was a community effort to bring it here and rebuild it here. We've got photos of them putting it all back together. People up on the roof resheeting it. So look, this is just.
So it was actually it was in disrepair when you got it. But it still had to be donated by someone somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
So who donated it to the village?
The family at the moment. That would be the Dellett family.
So the Dellett family continued ownership.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Well, we've got a lot to thank you for the Dellett family there.
Yes, we have.
Are the Delletts still in Caboolture, I wonder?
I think there are some people still doing it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome to make sure that those people are thanked for their efforts. Yeah. We often forget about these important people. This is brilliant. I'm loving it. And this is
the children's, the baby ward. Caboolture was a growing place, and so lots of new babies being made, and this is where they were born. And that's where we have a list of all the people that were actually born in this hospital on record.
And this is actually the room that they were born in?
This is where they were born.
Wow.
Yes. So look, there's and some of our volunteers, as I've mentioned, a certain age, they were actually born in this hospital. So they've got a very close connection with the village, and especially this hospital.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
This looks like a dental thing, isn't it?
Oh, this is a frightening place to...
Oh, yeah.
You see all those weird-looking, frightening-looking tools of trade in there for working on the teeth.
All these different pliers to be able to pull teeth out. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
Queensland University.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, so...
Actually, I'm pretty sure I've been worked on by some dentists that used some of that equipment back in my early days too.
I can remember that unit there with that old drill. I can still remember the sound and the smell of that drill and the leather and that noise and
do you remember,
and the pain.
They'd gas you. They'd give you this gas and you'd be high on this gas and you'd be knocked out. I mean, I remember the first time I had that, I had nightmares. In fact, I think I still do from remembering it.
So
Okay,
naturally,
so what's here?
there was the kitchen, of course, to prepare the meals for all the people in the wards. And so we had the kitchen staff, and that's for the preparation area there. Of course, we had the old wood stove, and back in those days.
And this
is the main surgical area. If you had to have something removed or operated on, this is where it all took place. Plenty of light, no air conditioning. It was pretty rough and ready, but it's all. People survived and went on, walked out of here, all healthy again. So
unbelievable.
Yeah.
What a terrific place. Look, Roger, thanks for that. I'm again, I love what I'm seeing, but we've got more to see, so I don't want to hang around here too long. Let's go and see some more of this stuff.
Okay,
all right, let's go. Okay, so Roger and I have just walked down to the general store. Now, the general store itself has got a story, and Ted Haig, storekeeper. So Ted goes back away with storekeeping, but that's not the full story on this, is it, Roger?
No, this building itself was actually a real estate building in Caboolture, but we didn't have a general store for our village, so we converted this into a general store. Now we have an original photograph inside of Ted's shop, and he had operated that store in Caboolture, in the main street of Caboolture.
When would that have been?
This would have to be, well, I've got photos back in the 20s, so that's how old, around that era. About 19,
good Lord, it's older than me.
1920s, yeah. And also inside, you might notice that also in those days you could fill up with your petrol here.
You'd get your petrol at the general store, yeah.
Now, I'll show you the photo inside of a truck being refuelled here from a Bowser, and we have an exact replica of that truck, which happens to be mine, up in the Transport Museum, a 1926 Chev one-ton truck.
Awesome.
So, yeah, look, there's a lot
and of course, in those days, when you got to fill up, you got to work out as well, because it was all hand done, wasn't it?
Well, that's right. Your strong arm here to pump the fuel, and the hose round there, and the fuel came up here, and you could measure how many gallons you wanted. It was all hard work and physical work back in those days.
So let's go inside and have a look inside. Right. This is what I was saying before. You could spend so much time. I mean, I'm seeing Humphrey Bogart and all sorts of stuff happening in here. Milo cans.
Yes, we've been lucky that we've been able to collect a lot of donations from the volunteers and the people who lived in Caboolture, yeah. And they've donated all this material in here. So, especially this cash register. I'm going to say
this cash register looks really interesting.
Yes. Now we had a chap from who was an expert on cash registers from the National Cash Register Company, and he was amazed at this particular old machine. It's actually beginning of IBM computers, where they actually made cash registers.
Oh wow!
So that is a lot of history in that cash register itself. So here you can see the National Cash Register, yep, and that was part of IBM eventually. So
again, some very generous person has donated that.
That's, yes.
A magnificent piece of history. So
yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. So
I'm seeing all these weigh machines around,
yes.
and little gas stoves and just about everything.
The general store, the housewife could come down here, and if she wanted a new mince grinder or something like that, or whether Dad wanted another strap to sharpen his blades on.
Here we've got a trap up here.
Yep. And here you could even buy. Now buying rabbit
look
skins.
At this. So now buying rabbit skins at 8 pence.
8 pence each.
8 pence each.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and Cadbury's cream bears, dairy milk chocolate.
Yeah.
Wow.
Made in Tasmania. Yeah, the old Cadbury's. Yeah. So you could buy just about anything in the general store for household needs and farming needs. So,
Yes, it's when the general store really was general. It's you get a rabbit trap, you can buy the skins,
That's right.
you can razor blades, and razors, and teapots, and food products, and all sorts of things. Oh, look at this, fly catchers.
Oh yeah, those old sticky fly catchers.
Yeah.
I'll
And you were saying about the mince grinders too before.
Yes,
It come in quite a collection.
all different sizes.
And these little burner stoves.
Yeah, all the kerosene burners. Yeah. I could show you now. This is a photo, the original photograph of Haig's store in the King Street, Caboolture. And there's the petrol pump out the front, and that's a 1926 Chev 1-ton truck being fuelled.
For which you now own one. Not that particular one, but you own one just like it.
Identical to that.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. So so that's Haig's store, 21 King Street, Caboolture, back in the 20s.
Magnificent. You know what? This is again very exciting, but I've really still got to see this old caravan because it's really got the juices flowing. I want to see this old van.
Well,
so can we go and have a look at that next?
Let's do it, and I can show you the truck.
Oh, beautiful.
Truck.
Let's do both.
Okay, great.
Okay. Good. So we've come down to this garage to have a look, and the first thing that I've clacked eyes on, I've gone, wow, look at this. And it turns out this is actually Roger's, and you rebuilt this.
Yes, this actually did a lot of general purpose work in Brisbane, this truck, and I was shown it at Slacks Creek. A fire had been through it on this property. I took it home. I carted it around. I had it for many, many years, and I donated it to the Historical Village when I came here 20 odd years ago, and I rebuilt the body on it. Now that body, I've got photos of what they really look like. I had enough materials left from the fire to build an exact replica of it. So it's a 1926 Chev 1-ton truck.
That's awesome. Yeah. And of course, this isn't the only truck that you've donated to the village either, is it?
Well, a lot of the vehicles in here have been donated, all of them. This particular tourer, it's a 1926 Chev truck. I had a thing about 26 Chevs. So, but I bought this back in the early 70s, and I've driven tens of thousands of miles in it. I still use it to go on rallies. Only earlier this year, before COVID, I took it out on a rally and did about 400 miles in it. And so look, it's a wonderful, reliable old Chev that we used, very common back in that day, and Australian built. An Australian built
one.
Holden body on that.
We love Australian built stuff. Yeah. I've got to tell you, looking around, you're not just got trucks here. We've got scooters, we've got bicycles, we've got buggies, we've got some of the later cars. Yeah. You've even got a Vauxhall 6-cylinder engine that's been cut up so people can see how it's going. And we noticed that when we came in, you got the little mini moke here too. I love these mokes. They're absolutely fantastic fun. And of course, again, some of the modern Holdens, which of course now, with Holden gone, they're going to become more and more important to see things like that. Australian built stuff, right down to the XJ6 Jaguar, and this motorised wheelchair with a Ducati engine. I mean, wow, I didn't know such a thing even existed. We thought these motorised chairs are actually relatively new, but you know, I'm starting to wonder if there really is a lot of new stuff nowadays, or we're just simply going back over things that were thought of before and reinventing them.
Exactly, yes. That particular wheelchair, it goes, and I tell you, it's suicidal to drive because it goes like a Ducati. And but all the vehicles in here have been restored. Some have been original condition, like the Holdens here and the Freeway. They're in original condition. But our volunteers have got all these going, and we do get them out and do parades with them, and we constantly maintaining them, and so they've got a long life expectancy.
Now, of course, here's the one. This is what I've really come to see. We've got an historical caravan. Now, this was Probert built. I believe they were made here in Queensland. Look, what a classic. We talk about, Queensland built caravans being the best. Well, here's part of the reason. They're still around. In typical spirit of local people, this caravan was like everything else here, was donated. And as it turns out, donated by the original owners of the Phoenix Caravan. Now, I own Phoenix Caravans today, but I didn't start it. It was actually started by Barry Davidson. And the Davidson family that now own Caboolture Caravan Repairs were kind enough to donate this to the village. And I just think that's a really amazing thing for them to do. So to the Davidsons, good on you, mate. Much appreciated, and we love your generosity. Isn't it awesome?
The colour scheme was taken from an original photo of an original one back in that era. So that's an original colour.
So it was originally this pink, the blues and the greens. This was all happening.
Yeah.
You know what? They really haven't changed that much over the years. I mean, this was Bondwood, but they would take this anywhere. And this, wow, look at this. Focus on this. Air brakes. I noticed the brake master cylinder on the A-frame before, and I thought, oh, maybe I've got it wrong. That's not what it is. But air brakes, I mean...
Back in that era.
Wow, back in that era, air brakes. Maybe we should need to go back to air brakes again. Who knows? But isn't it fantastic? In such good condition?
It is. Yeah.
And all you've got to do is come down to the Caboolture Historical Village. I'll get my mind, get that right in a minute. And you can see all these fabulous things and meet these wonderful people. These people have been volunteering here for I don't know how long, but I know, Roger, you've been the president for 20 years, I believe.
Well, not president. I started here around 20 years ago.
Right.
And but I've been president about 15 years now. And yeah, so look, it's just a wonderful place to volunteer.
And you've really donated your life to this, because you even live on site, and this is what you do, preserving our history, which is just, look, mate, I'm in awe. And of course, lest we forget, we've got another one here. He's a newbie though, only what, 12 years?
Yeah, about 12 years.
About 12 years.
Geoff's our curator. Yeah. And yeah, so we say...
Oh, look at this. Wow. You know, because this was very much a farming community in those days. Back then, most of the people lived on the land. We had lots of banana farms, pineapple farms, all sorts of stuff. So this was very much a part of life back in those days. And you can see they were getting around in vehicles like this. And a tiller. Look at that.
Yeah.
If I might just point out, this one has a rear-mounted radiator at the front. So then if it hits anything, it doesn't damage the radiator. The radiator's at the back, motor's at the front.
Yeah.
This truck still runs.
Isn't that amazing?
We take it out on special days.
And now, you'd really make my day if you told me this was made in Queensland, but I'm probably pushing my luck, aren't I?
Well, I think you may be pushing it just a tad. But it has been used in Queensland and pineapple farms out at Wangaran area.
Right, okay.
The people who donated it, both since passed away, sadly, just in the last few months. But their family had this truck all the way through. So
it wasn't made in Queensland, but it was serviced and maintained in Queensland. Yeah, and for that reason, it's still going today. That's a pretty good plus, isn't it, too?
Yeah.
So look, thank you so much. We'll do the,
good on you.
Today. And again, thank you. Look, it's been fabulous coming in. I know there's so much more to see here, so we've only touched the thing. All you got to do is pay a couple of bucks to come in the door, do all this for yourself, meet these wonderful people, have a look at what they've got to offer here, and take on board. This is so important. This is living history. You can see where it all happened from. In here, Caboolture. Gotta love it. Ciao.